Hey there and welcome back to Arms Trade Tycoon episode 4. Episode 3 I left on a bit of a cliffhanger. Could I make the contract delivery date? And the answer is yes, I did manage to get it done. Right now, I have made a second version of the T-34. This is the accuracy boost. And the accuracy boost is definitely a tank that they like much more than the base version. It only costs 3 man-hours more. How did I do that? Well, I changed the 6-pounder gun to be more accurate. It doesn't really live up to what they want, because it still doesn't have the required rate of fire, but the accuracy is now what they seek. It is much more what they seek when you compare it to the T-34V1. So the accuracy booster is going to get sold for 242 success score. I'm not sure exactly what the M3 Lee is going to be. The Rock Island Arsenal. I'm going to say I cannot ship you 70 tanks. I can probably ship you 40. In a long time, because I'm currently working on another contract. I'm currently working on shipping Tetrarchs. So let's reduce it a bit more. It's only a $2 million contract. It's not that lucrative. Can I make 35 tanks in that time? Let's lower the price a touch more. No, I'm not competing for 2 million. No, this is much more interesting. This is going to make me 4.7 million. They really like that light Tetrarch, and that's going to give me a lot of money. So I sold 99 of them, and they like it. It's going to take me a bit of time to build all of them, which is why I extended the deadline. Sorry, rather, it's in review, but I'm very much hopeful that I'll get that contract, and that's going to give me potentially a nice influx of money. As for the T-34, I've noticed that the T-34 has essentially too many shells aboard. Because what they seek is firepower of 27 shells. I have 52. This does give you a small bonus. Is it worth it, though? I'm not so sure. So what I can do is have a look at the chassis for the T-34 and see if I can boost that. I'm going to duplicate this tank. And I'm going to say this is the V3, but I don't know what type it's going to be yet. Let's copy the hull over and save that as new. Something I had happen in research very nicely is that I now can weld things together. I have access to SMA welded or early welding methods. It's going to take up 2% of your mass or 1. And looking at protection, this has more kinetic resistance. This has less kinetic resistance but more spall resistance. What do these people want? I think it has to do with kinetic resistance. Kinetic resistance has to be 78. The tanks that I have currently have that. I think I can even get it up higher with that new welding. So I'm going to focus fully on kinetic. I'm going to say the additional ammo stowage is not really required. I carry 52 shells. That's actually too many and I can't really tune it down. What about the hatch? I'm using a tier 3 Mark 1. I can get a tier 3 Mark 2, which is going to increase my stats regarding structural integrity, which I think for a tank is pretty useful. Over here we got, unfortunately, no alloy type available. Still working on that. Let's get them a radio. It's going to reduce the commander points. Useful. As for lights, let's go with the directional headlights. This is going to be a slight stat boost. It doesn't matter that much, I think. Over here we have the curved ventilation. That should make it a bit less likely to catch grenades. It's going to have crew comfort -1 relative, but operational range improves at the expense of structural integrity. Then additional ammo stowage, allowing me to carry an additional 17 shells, and no change for fuel stowage. I wonder if this is going to be much better than the original. I'm not sure if they're welding the original. Hold on. This part. Yeah, I think it's not that big of a deal. And seeing as I already have that one, I don't think I need to change it that much. This one also has more weight. Maybe that has to do with the radio. Yeah, the crew performance here is slightly higher. The mobility is slightly higher, but your protection is worse. Why is your protection worse? Your side thickness is 40. Huh. And these guys keep searching for armor protection. Hull, frontal 47. Do they want turret protection as well? Frontal 99 on the turret? That's a lot of armor. That's probably where some of my contracts are getting lost. Protection, turret, yes. The frontal thickness on the turret isn't that good. Okay, if I make the T-34V2 equipped with that very heavily armored turret, the close support V1, Mark 1, I should at least start getting quite a ways there. Because that turret has 75 frontal thickness, as opposed to the T-34. And I might be able to change the design of that one as well. So let's update that. See if I can boost that armor even more. Getting it to 99 is going to be a bit of a challenge though. I can probably do it. I can get it to 92. And it does cause a bit more weight on the tank. Let's get casting, which is going to give me more kinetic resistance. It's also going to make the structural integrity better. We have the spotlight cupola. I'm going to keep that. Over here, I'm going to add a radio because it adds a reduction in commander points. The slim hatch is fine. And then we got no alloys. I'm going to just push this to 92. Do they have any other requirements for the armor? What sort of protection do you seek further on the turret? Front ricochet 22. What is my front ricochet on this turret? 51. Yeah, that ought to do the trick. Save that. Engineer it. Back to design. We might actually have something here. It's going to look like a freak of a T-34. I don't really care about that. As long as it performs. I'm going to go with that improved version. That's the accuracy boosted version. Then we're going to have the running gear, which I think can maintain with the Leshy. The engine, I think, doesn't need changing. Especially as the contracts don't really seek out a different type of mobility. They don't really seem to mind. My mobility is actually better than what they need, so I don't want to focus on that, especially as it doesn't get any buffs. That leaves me with the guns. Oh, right. I have a turret-mounted machine gun now. That's very valuable. Because it makes for a much more flexible experience. So that one's going to get sealed up. Unless they want more machine guns. They don't care. Well, they got a machine gun count ×3 modifier. But come on. Do you really care about how many machine guns you got? It's not even listed. An attribute summary will add 3 times more success if it's overfilled. Well. Okay. Don't really care. I'm not going to go with a secondary machine gun. Because that also puts more strain on my crew. If I do go ahead, it's going to require 1 more gunnery point. Correct? Yes, 1 more. Maybe we can fit that then. Okay, then we're going to have the crew. A driver. Actually, a driver commander? Can you multitask like that? No. Can I have a driver mechanic? And then I can have, I don't know, a commander gunner? Commander gunner? And then a gunner loader? Or a loader mechanic? We're getting somewhere. Accuracy, 55. I might need a specific gunner. There we are. Rate of fire, 37. Not as good. Not as good. Firepower soft. Of course, we can still change the stats on how much damage they do. Let's see. This is maximum accepted mass. Yes. Front thickness is now up to par. Front ricochet is fine. Turret thickness is almost where they want it to be. Front ricochet is fine. Kinetic resistance on the turret needs work. I might need to change that design. Firepower heart's fine. Rate of fire is not as good. This is not as good. The range and shock value on the machine gun need work. Okay, so we need a shock machine gun value. All-purpose incendiary. Done. Then we also need a... Do we need more firepower on the main primary weapon? No, it just needs accuracy. Unfortunately, that's not something I can really deliver with this. Sadly. HA... High explosive... HV? Don't know. We want the high kinetic pens as well. That's capitalistic shells. And then I think... For the machine gun, maybe... Maybe additional? Like tungsten? Or the heavy steel core? They definitely got the range that they seek. They got shock pen that they seek, so firepower is going to get me a nice boost. The thing is actually a little lighter than what they seek, so that's fine. The hull. The hull should have more frontal thickness. Okay. I can work on that. Stabilized fuel. And let's get some standard automotive oil. Okay, so I need to engineer this to have 2 points more frontal thickness. I can do that. We're really getting close to the perfect tank there, or at least what they want. 45, 46, 47. Save. Back to design. Roll attribute. Ta-da! Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Front thickness on the turret. Yeah, the kinetic resistance on the turret. We need to hop over to engineering, which I already started, which I shouldn't have. How can we improve that kinetic resistance? How can we improve that kinetic resistance? Cancel that. Components. We're looking at turret components. I think it's this one. Back to design. Which turret was I working on? Exactly, because I got so many. Oh, it's already scheduled for production. The close support Mark 1. Okay. Do that. Close support Mark 139. Modifications, 2 turrets. The close support. Stop filtering that, will you? Here. This one. Oh, you're gonna make me copy it again? It's on hold. Can I not just cancel the whole thing? Where can I get more kinetic resistance on this thing? I'm not sure I can. Maybe with a better alloy type, but I don't have that yet. Ah, whatever. Get to work on it, and we shall see if this contract... Well, if this tank is going to be better suited to the contracts. I hope that with some improvements to the factory, I can even get it a bit faster produced. Man-hour reductions would be great for that. Well, well, well. They like it. Actually, they like it a lot. Look at this. The base T34. This is the one that I had initially. 76. If I go to the accuracy boost, it's a 242. If I go to the, yes, 10% more expensive man-hours version, you're looking at 453. With that, I can probably beat a competitor. I'm not going to look into it now because I'm almost broke. I can probably push these things to be very expensive. Like, I can get to 300 maybe. And that's going to be a $5 million contract. If you can get your production up very high, you can make it an almost $8 million contract. If you then produce these things ahead of time, well, they won't like it. But if you have them just ready and you go, hey, dude, here's your tank. I can give them to you very quickly. You can make about $8.5 million with that. Unfortunately, right now, my production cap is pretty much reached. I keep hiring additional workers to speed up production as much as I can and get all these Tetrarchs out the door. But we're just not finding enough people. Maybe with the contracts, no, with the legal thing, I can get a bit more people on the hiring list. It is expensive, however, and I'm already expected to go down to 782. Once I'm going sub 1 million, I actually get a little concerned. That's not really where I want to be. The British, by the way, are now working on a new tank, the infantry tank. Hold up, Britain. Hold up. The infantry tank. That sounds an awful lot like a Matilda. Is that something you would be interested in? I've been quietly researching away on parts necessary for the Matilda. I just never actually put much work into building it. So maybe this time around, I can get something done. What sort of tracks do we now have? We got the Leshy. We got the Leshy tracks for the Matilda. Yes, I guess that could work. It might not be strong and well, we can go to 39 tons. Maybe. We can then put a pretty punchy engine in it. And let's see, that's going to give me 25 tons to work with. I like it. The rest of the engines probably aren't quite there. I'm going to say I want to have tier 3s, mostly. We got this one. That's more than strong enough. It doesn't have the same attribute points, but you're going to be getting a nice power to weight ratio with this one. That could make for a very strong Matilda. Then, I can add that V2 that I just built. And if I put some stuff in there, and say this is going to be your new medium infantry tank, is that what the Brits want? No, that's a Russian flag. Airborne tank, medium stopgap. I'm not sure they actually have a requirement for it yet, so I'm going to say it could be this one. Select that, compare it. We are looking for a turret count of 9. No. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Could this thing serve as a bunker smasher? Yes, potentially. The hull definitely has enough armor. It should have enough firepower if I throw it in there. But I really want to know what the Brits want with this thing before I'm going to commit to either of these turrets. This is the more accurate gun for the turret, but I think it had the lower rate of fire. Rate of fire 22, accuracy 36, 26, 22. No, this one's just better overall. And then for the machine gun, well, it's the trusty old Vickers by the looks of it. There. And it's on the turret, so it's nice and flexible. If we're then going to build this thing out to have a driver, a commander, a... it's going to be a bit uncomfortable. I can have a dedicated mechanic, and then a mechanic loader, and then a gunner loader, I guess. I'm slightly over on everything, which is generally not that good for the comfort of the crew. Accuracy is good again. Rate of fire is... yeah. At least this thing is going to be pretty quick on its feet, I think. Mobility? Road speed. 53? On a Matilda? Wow. Man hours. 10,000 man hours? That's it? What the hell? Did I accidentally build something good? That's going to be funny. This is really high shock value. I need something with high kinetics. It's going to be that shell. We're going to go with the high firepower shock. That was the all-purpose incendiary. No, actually. This one. A heavy steel core. That's the higher shock value. And what else do we need to boost the efficacy of the small gun? Firepower soft. Maybe some more shock value. So let's say heavy steel core rounds. Yeah, but that's duplicates. I can't do that. So this one. Then the fuel. And then the automotive oil. And then the paint. France. No. Camouflage 1. Okay, so all I need to do is edit the Heavy Matilda there. Let's save that as Heavy Matilda. I'm going to open the engineering tab. Let's have a look. What they needed for this thing was for it to be nigh indestructible, I think. I can now add that early casting, which is going to add additional kinetic resistance, which will up my protection to 31. I can add a radio, which will reduce the commander's requirements. The headlights, yes. Yes. Additional ammo stowage, do we need that? I can bring 66 shells. I think we're fine. I might actually kick this thing out, because it's taking up another 2.5% of weight, which I don't really need. I can make do with 49 shells. Either the tank will be dead or the enemy will be defeated. And I don't need any additional armor there. Okay, let's save that as the Heavy Matilda V2. Assign that. It's only going to take me 5 days. Easy. Then we can go back to the design. Ta-da. Good. So now we can get this thing out the door. The Heavy Matilda V1. She's a bit of a weird beast. I wonder if she's going to work as well as I think she is. Also, the commander... Hold on. The commander doesn't need as many slots anymore, so I can go commander mechanic. Well, on paper. The commander can only sit there. Can I make it a commander gunner? And then make you a full gunner. Then have a full loader and a full mechanic. What am I? I'm way over on gunners. Okay, so you're going to be a gunner mechanic. Fine, you're a gunner loader. Can I push my ROF up if I just keep cramming loaders into it? Yeah, somewhat. Loader mechanic. There. Mechanic is now satisfied. Rate of fire is 44. Accuracy 73. Not bad. Get to work on that. Oh, crap. 10.4 on the volume. Just as I thought I had a good contender. What's taken up so much space? The V2 VAR 1, the engine. Maybe I can change the engine a touch. Copy that. Let's do some engineering. So I need to reduce the volume that this thing takes up. What do we have? This takes up 0.6. I can push it down to a forced cycle radiator, which is also tier 3. We're looking at decent operational range, crew comfort, power unit. That's already winning 0.15. We have an asbestos brake. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. This is going to give me obstacle step height. This actually makes the tank more sneaky. What sort of stealth value we got anyway? Where does it say that? Where does it say that? Here, 25. Shaft brakes, 28. That also takes up less space. And now if I go with a different flywheel, this is going to give me obstacle slope angle of 60. I'm not sure if that's high or low. Obstacle step height is 35, which I can push at the expense of the slope angle. And we have the gearbox. This is the crash gearbox. All of these are going to be pretty much taking up more space, such as this one. It's going to come at the expense of road speed. What are you offering me then? Why are you better? Cross-country speed. Cross-country speed right now I think is pretty good. Cross-country speed's 30, road speed's 40. If you go this way, you're getting a lot of cross-country speed at the expense of almost all your road speed. I'd rather have an average here. Okay, so save that, go back to the design. Will it fit? Because I needed to give this thing a haircut. We're at 10.1. I can try running it with a crew member less. It's not ideal though. I would skip a mechanic. No, I don't want to do that. I gotta be able to save 0.1 somewhere. Where? The Heavy Matilda itself doesn't have that one. Maybe the Leshy. The tracks. Change the component here. Change this. So we need to get 0.1. That's all. Should be able to find that here. What do we have? This is not going to take up a lot of space. That isn't either. This is 0.4 versus 0.25. There's my victory. However, the vehicle mass isn't as good. I can support 39 tons down to 36. The weight, however, goes down. Can this fit the tank? Because the tank is fairly light, right? Yes, that'll fit. I still got my power to weight ratio. I have my perfect volume limit. I think this is going to be a fun tank to drive. Road speed 58. Cross-country, 16. Eh. Bit of a breakthrough. Breakthrough tank in that sense. I might need to change that. Also, when the tracks become available for the... where is it? The Matilda. Maybe we can make that work. Alright, let's get these things engineered. The Matilda is ready. Let's see what she can do. She's pretty fast. I mean, this is the off-road speed, I imagine. Just doing 20. Turret could be a little snappier. I can make that thing work. Especially having that turret with the machine gun mounted inside it is very useful. It looks a bit weird. I'll grant you that. Especially with those, I think, slightly too long tracks. The tracks do seem pretty vulnerable in their current position. So that's something I would probably want to get some sort of protection for. I'm not sure if the tank will actually be able to do that, because she might be too heavy as we do that. Also, the gun depression might not be sufficient. Yeah, we got it. Decent. Decent. Not the Matilda you imagined, but here she is. Okay, main gun. Are we tall enough to fire over this? Probably not. Boom. Nice. Okay, yeah, this can work. Excellent. As the final part of this episode, I wanted to show you this. We have a tank that generally isn't that good. I mean, yes, it's starting to compete with the rest of them. But, well, the Belgians absolutely loved it. And because of that, they were willing to pay 108,507. I was able to max this out. And with that, I'm making a pretty hefty profit of 4 million on this contract for just 37 tanks. Just 37! This thing was so far over spec. Look at the protection. It was so far over spec that they were decided to pay through the nose for the pleasure of getting that tank. And I even got a lot of time in order to fulfill the contract. Now, the Americans aren't as happy about this thing. Yes, it's decent. Whether they'll pay as much, I rather doubt it. Not quite to that level. As for that new Matilda, I don't think it's quite going to be what they seek. It doesn't have the protection. Interestingly, it does not have the protection. It doesn't have the front thickness. The front thickness has to be... Actually, sorry, it has more than the front thickness, but it doesn't have the front ricochet. It's a very flat tank compared to the T-34. So in that sense, yeah, it's not going to ricochet nearly as much. Anyway, that was it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are below, and I shall see you soon for episode 5.